this video, I decided to go out on the streets and photograph some urban street photography, as they say, or as I call it, street photography. I've just seen a little location over there. You see those little steps? That could make quite a nice, interesting photograph if I can get on them steps and get a bit close and get the curvature of the steps going off around the frame. A little bit of space up here and a little bit of space down here. So I had a day to myself and I thought I'd go out and take some pictures. In my mind I'm thinking, what do I want to take pictures of? And I decided to go out and try and find some photographs that would look nice indoors. I potted up to take some pictures of that boat. It was all nice and quiet, and then like hundreds of these snotty little kids just come over and stuck his face in the lens.
Hey! Woo! Theo. Yeah.
Gives me a bit of a challenge, gives me some ideas and some reasoning to go out and take pictures. So that's exactly what I did in this video. I took out a Nikon F3 with me and a roll of cinestill XX, which is Kodak XX motion picture film. And I took some filters and a couple of different lenses as well. I took out a 28mm with me, nice and wide for anything that I want to get close up and get loads of information in the frame. And I also took a 55mm Nikon micro lens as well, and I took a 2x teleconverter as well that doubles the focal length for me on my lenses, just in case I wanted to get really close on something. And I also took a UV filter as well and a pot of Vaseline, so I could just smear Vaseline on the filter, put it on the lens and just see if it would capture anything interesting by blurring out all the edges. I'll show you a little bit more of that later on. So I'm in the darkroom. I'm just about to make some prints from the negatives that I come back with from that shoot. I'll show you what I was up to. You can see my mindset, the compositions I was working on, and then we'll come back in the darkroom and we'll see how they print. So while I'm out and about today, what am I looking for? I'm going to be looking for textures, I'm going to be looking for shapes, but I'm just going around taking pictures of anything that I think might look interesting, but I'll be mostly looking at compositions, symmetry and shapes and texture. I'll also be looking for contrast as well, because today's perfect for that. It's quite a sunny day, it's quite bright, so shadows and contrast are going to be important in my photographs too, and especially with that Kodak XX film. That is quite a nice punchy film if you develop it right. I'm going to be developing this later on in Kodak D23. I know I'll get good results, contrasty and a little bit of grain as well, and a little bit of grit, which I think suits any sort of street photography. So to all you black and white shooters out there, I'm sure you would agree that there's something magical about the way black and white film captures the world, the way it distills scenes down to the essence and revealing shapes, textures, tonality and contrast that might otherwise go unnoticed. And just like you guys, I love all aspects of photography, landscapes, portraiture, still life and street photography as well. And if I were to choose one area of photography to only shoot for a year, it would probably be right here, outside on the streets, looking for unusual shapes, objects, shadows, contrast and light, and sometimes people. And I say that because the opportunities for making great looking photographs are endless, whether you come back with some or not. The opportunities are always there because there is so much to observe, study and look at in a way that no one else sees it, only you. So this sort of stuff, these railings, nice clouds up there going on. I might get a picture of this actually. I've done this before, but the clouds might be different than what I had. I do like those clouds. An orange filter will darken this down, but I definitely need some light. The sun's behind me, so that's working nice against those clouds. Let's stick an orange filter on, get a nice 28mm lens, and we'll get this railing, get some composition going, see how that looks. It's for the train track down there. We've got all this as well, if I want to get shots of this old fencing that's broken, if I want to get that. We've got texture going on. Look at all this texture up here. So this is the sort of thing I'm after. Let's get a shot of this. Orange filter, 28mm lens. So I'm literally going to split. Let's pull that fence down a bit more because it's in my shot. So I'm literally going to split this as a diagonal. So I'll have the fence going from the top left. And I've also got an odd part as well of the fence where one pole's missing. A bird would be nice if I could have a bird going over, but there. Gotcha. It's quite fun, this sort of photography. So this was the sort of angle you can see I was getting. Trying to make sure a piece of the fence goes up on this side to the right, just off of the corner, and matching it up with the bottom, doing the same. It's hard to show you on the camera here. I'm now going to do exactly the same shot. This time I'm going to put the 50mm lens on and also the teleconverter as well, so it just extends the focal length a little bit, so I can get really close on the texture on one of those spikes. See how it looks. So all the while I'm looking through my viewfinder, I'm envisioning it on the wall in black and white on a frame, in a frame. So it just helps me compose the photographs. Ah, okay, portrait might look quite nice here. So straight away I'm now envisioning a portrait on a print. Got it. So that's kind of what I was going for. You can see this GoPro's much wider than what I was on, but that's the sort of angle I was trying to hit, but in portrait mode. Come over to where these boats are, and I'm looking at this boat here. It's got all this fishing stuff inside it, and I'm looking thinking, is there a photograph in there anywhere? It's a real mess, but is there anything, would you guys do anything here? I'll take one just because, but there's two things, you know. Should I get close using a 55mm, maybe the telephoto, get close in on something like some rope, or do I use 28mm and just get a whole load of carnage going on in the print, load of fishing gear? I think that might be the obvious one to go for, obviously without getting anything in the background in, you know, just something like so. I'll wait for the sun to come back out because this film's good when there's good light. So the sun's come out, and I'll just work the camera around and have a look through the viewfinder at something close up. The balls look quite nice on the top actually. I've got some rope going on for a little bit of symmetry maybe. Again, I'm just looking through the viewfinder thinking, what's it going to look like when I print it? Let's come down, let's open the aperture up. We'll go to 2.8, so we'll get this shallow depth of field going on. This is a strange composition, this one. Done. We'll get the 28mm on. And this time I'll go to F8, so we get a lot in focus. Okay, so I've got a little bit of sky in this one, a lot of the crap. Done. I've just turned my back and I've got these, what are they, kayaks, with these grass, whatever it is, coming up. If I get low down, that might look quite nice on a wide. So I'm going to shoot this on a 28 as well. I mean, it's the most unlikeliest thing, isn't it? Kayaks with grass. There's two shots I want to take. One here, and then another one closer. I'll show you the other one in a second. And I'm using composition still. I've got top left, a little bit of the wall going off to the top third. If I can get that in, there it is there. In, done. And whilst on the subject of compositions, I've got an ebook out you might be interested in. The link is in the description of this video. And there's over 270 pages packed with various compositions, illustrations, photographs and ideas to help you with your own photography. So if you're interested in downloading that ebook and supporting the channel, the link is in the description. There's tons of information in there. Let's get on with the video. Because I've got this to work with. A little bit of chain going on, and this little wall, if I can get that low down again without my shadow being in. Again, I'm looking at everything around me. There's a wall on the left and the one in the back. I'm bringing the one in the back straight horizon. The wall on the left is coming up to the top left of the frame. Trying to keep the centre at the bottom. We've got two different tones going on. This might look quite nice. It's very tricky to get your horizon straight when you're in this angle. I'm going to take the same again with an orange filter actually. To darken that sky. The sky's nice, but I need an orange filter. Done. Do you know what? I don't know how much longer I can get down like this for. I'm getting stuck every time I get down. Like roly-poly. God. That's the sort of thing about this photography, you know, I was at home thinking, where shall I go, what shall I shoot today? I just wanted to go out and take some pictures and bring you guys along as well. And it just gets to the point you just think, okay, I'm going to go here and see what I can find. And then you walk around and it's amazing what you do end up finding. Sometimes you can overthink things in photography, where to go, what to shoot. I just thought to myself, okay, get some new pictures for indoors, look for patterns, shapes, texture, contrast, light, see what objects I can find. That's all it is. Okay, I don't think I'm getting over there. That water's made sure of that. I wanted to get to the other side. Hang on about, I've just seen something over there. What do you reckon of this? If I get down low. I'm going to take it actually, see what happens. That last picture I took, I saw the telescope behind the wall, and I thought that might look quite nice. And as I got closer, I noticed there was a lamp right above it. So I was trying to sort of compose around it, and then I saw another lamp in the background. So I managed to get one lamp in the distance, one lamp in the foreground, and also that telescope as well with the wall. I don't know how it will look with the orange filter though, darken that sky down. It might look quite nice. As I was walking back towards the town, I stopped to notice these beautiful wooden sailboats. There was definitely going to be some action for a few snaps. And just as I got comfortable, a tidal wave of children came rolling in. And I did feel a little bit intimidated as they looked a bit rough. And I thought they was going to pinch me cameras. So as I move the camera, you can see that highlight. Can you see it moving up and down at the top of the... There it is there. So I didn't want that on the photograph because that'd be a nightmare in the print. It was just like a big white speck. So what I did, I just disguised it behind that little bit of black rope there. And that's the sort of composition I got. But the boats did offer a lot for photography, and if I had a holiday apartment by the sea, I can imagine I would have taken more. They definitely would have suited a nautical theme. I plotted up, it was all quiet back there. What is it? Come behind me now, look. I think I'm lost. I don't think I should be going this way. So this is my little Vaseline lens. I keep it in this little pouch here, so Vaseline doesn't go all over the camera when I put it away. I've got a little cloth in there as well. And a little pot of Vaseline. Okay, so, and I'll smear it in a circular motion around the edge of the lens, leaving a small hole in the middle. So all I did was smear the Vaseline around the edge, left a hole in the middle, so anything I want to focus on has to be right in the middle of the filter for the lens.
Yes.
So, but I'll pop that back in there, and then that won't get the rest of my bag all Vaseline-y. That's nice and protected. And the Vaseline idea is nothing new. Sometimes I do this under the enlarger lens when printing, and it is good fun. It's challenging also. And as I was right near the rocks, I sat down on the edge and took a few snaps of the boats. Now this wasn't my intention, as I wanted urban, but a few frames didn't hurt. I took 3 shots of the boats. I took one having the boats pretty much in the middle of the frame, and then the other giving more space for the sky and having the sea at the lower part of the frame. And then I did a landscape format. Now because the sky was quite dramatic, I donned the orange filter and gave the sky more attention in the frame, which made sense as there wasn't much in front of those boats on the water, so it would have been a waste of space. I then stumbled across these jetties and I tried a few different angles of those. On the way back to my car, I found this old 1970s bicycle, and I think old bicycle parts look great in black and white photos, so I took a few shots there. I'm just walking back to my car and I've seen another shot that might look quite nice. See that jetty the way it is there? If I can plot myself up around here and get low down, I'll get those rocks and the jetty in, My only fear is that those rocks are a bit bland. In black and white I can see straight away they're going to be, there's not much contrast, there's no sun going on. But I can walk along that jetty, come around here and take a photograph looking straight on. Let's see how that looks. So on a 28mm, this is what I'm sort of looking at, this composition here. That's, we'll take the photograph, see how it comes out. And I think I was right. I knew the sand colour without the sun for contrast would have looked a bit flat. Sometimes you need to think of how the film deals with colour. Maybe an orthochromatic film would have suited this scene better. And finally, I saw these beach seats which offered a nice variation of texture and tonality. So I took a photograph on those. So that's what I was up to yesterday, taking me photographs. I was out for hours and I actually enjoyed myself. Just one roll of film inside the camera. And that's all I had, you know. So I was being very picky and choosy with my photographs and changing my lenses when I needed to, putting filters on if I had to. One of the things I did like was that old bike. That little kid pulled up with this old bike, and it was probably 1970s, this bike. You don't see many of those around, so I took the opportunity to get a couple of photographs of that. I don't know what it is with me and bike parts. I just like the spokes, the gears and all that stuff. And especially if they're an old bike, it's got bags of rust on it and texture as well. So I had to seize the opportunity to grab that. But usually that sort of photography, you never know where you're going to end up with it. Sometimes you can come back with some cracking photographs that, you know, you never envisioned of ever thinking about taking before. And other times you don't come back with much at all. And the first two shots I took, I'll show you the scans now, but you can see on the negatives, I've got some light leaks going through. I should learn by my mistakes, the amount of times I've loaded film in direct sunlight and I've got that piping going on where the light seeped into the film and into the first couple of frames. Just to show you guys loading the film, it was pointless really, but I've got a couple of light leaks on the first two photographs, but it didn't bother me too much because I didn't really go out to get any sort of seascapey shots. It was just there and I thought I'd take the chance while it was, you know, while it was there in front of me. Yeah, there's the bike one there. I did like that bike. There was one shot I took of the back wheel, which I'll show you that in a second. And I like the railings at the train station and also that canoe as well. Nothing fancy going on in that roll. The Vaseline shots, they were okay, but nothing I'm going to waste paper on to make a print. It was just a little test to see how they come out. And the little wooden boat shots as well. So I'm going to start off with the canoes that I liked, and we'll try and make a print of that. First of all, I've got to do a test and see how long it takes for the enlarger to print this onto the paper. These are my contrast filters. I'll always use these for my darkroom printing, and I always start with a 2.5 grade filter, which is basically in the middle of the contrast. So if I need to do any contrast adjustments on my print, then I know that I've started with 2.5 and I know where I am. I can go up or down, just changing the contrast if I need to. So that goes under the enlarger. And this is my easel here for 10x8. So I'm making a 10x8 print. This is the 10x8 easel from Bit by Bit Photo in Texas. And this is a sort of test strip that I'll be using when all the lights are off in a moment. A piece of paper, photographic paper. I'll put it underneath the enlarger, project the image onto it, and then I'll do increments of seconds. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then from that I can tell the best tones on the test for me to go ahead and make the print. So we'll put the negative in the negative carrier, and then we'll put this underneath the enlarger and get it focused in and do some tests. It's not good to have any dust particles on top of the negative because that will show up on the print because it blocks the light, you see. Right, that's under there now. So what we'll do is just turn all the lights off, have a look at it on the baseboard and see. We need to get it in focus first and then go ahead and do test strips. So what I've done, this is 10x8 paper. I've set the whole negative inside that 10x8 paper, so there's no cropping going on. You can see the whole negative printed on the paper. I need to first of all make sure I'm in focus. So with this little tool, I can see the grain on the negative, and I need to focus on that grain, and that means I'm in the best possible focus, and we'll get the best sharpness out of the print. Now it's quite bright at the moment, so I'll just pull the aperture down. At the moment I'm on f4. Let's bring that down, 5.6. One more, f8. Now obviously the smaller the aperture on the larger lens, the darker the image is going to be, and the darker the image is going to be, the longer time I'm going to be projecting onto the paper, which is great because that gives me any time that I need to do any dodging or burning. So that's at f8. You can see how that's f4. That's f8, so that's where we're going to print from. Just need to do a test. So you can see that's the photograph I took. There's the canoe, there's the wall, and that's the back wall that I tried to keep straight as well, and all the grass area. I'm going to do my test across this wall here and the sky. So I'm going to put a test strip right across the wall and the sky, so that will give me 2 tests, one for the wall and one for the sky, and then I'll have to do another one for this boat area to see how that comes out. So there goes the test strip, just like I said, across the wall and the sky. And then we'll start our timer. First increment. Two. Third. Fourth. I'm using an f-stop timer. So it's not doing it in increments of seconds, it's doing it in increments of fractions. And the timer will work it all out for me once I finish my test. And that's done. Let's put it in the developer, see how it comes out. And obviously I haven't got a clue how it's going to come out. This is why it's the test. So I'll let this develop for about a minute or so, and then I'll put it in a stop bath and then a fixer, give it a wash, and then we'll have a look and see how it looks. So I did my tests in third increment stops. It's the same as seconds, but it's just a different way of doing it. There's my first test I did, what you saw developing. So I started off at a base time of 10 seconds, and then I went -1, -2, -3, +1, +2, +3. And these are third of a stop, so +1 is 14 something seconds, +2 I thought was probably best, and that was 20 seconds. So I did my second test across the wall, across the boats, to see how it looks at 20 seconds. And you can see it's just really contrasty with that 2.5 grade filter. It needs more time to burn into the paper, but if I did that, my blacks are going to go so dark I ain't going to get no detail out of it. So the only way now is to start lowering my contrast filters and seeing what I come up with. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'll put the 2.5 grade filter back in my filter box, and I'll pull out the grade 0 filter. That's a low contrast filter, so I'll put that under the lens. And what that will do, that will build up the highlights and slowly build up the shadow detail on the blacks as well, which is great. That means I can build my highlights up and then work on the darker side of the print. And this is the timer that I'm using from Filmomat. So I've set it to 1/3 increments. So like I said, that was my base time, 10 seconds. And then the test strip did -1, -2, -3. And then +1, +2, +3. Well, my test showed me the +2 was best, 1, 2, which is 20 seconds. It's a real simple way of doing it. So I have to do exactly the same thing again, all the lights off. So I'm doing exactly the same thing again, but this time with a lower contrast filter, and see how that works for me. And off we go again. So I did my second test strip there, the contrast 0. You can see the difference. 10 seconds, you can see it's a lot lighter in contrast, or it's a flatter contrast. Look at the wall area here compared to this one. So I'm going to have to go with the contrast 0 filter just to help with that contrast on the wall, but I still need a much longer time. This was 20 seconds compared to the old 20 seconds. This one was 20 seconds, and you can see I've got loads of nice detail going on the wall, but I've lost detail obviously down this area where it was quite bright. So I need longer time. But what I'm going to need to do is maybe do 40 seconds, but using a little tiny piece of card like this, a dodge tool, just cover this area for 20 seconds. So I'm going to get 20 seconds of this wall area, and hopefully this area will then start getting darker, but I won't make the wall jet black. Let's hope so. Anyway, I also need a little bit of more detail in the sky, so that needs maybe another 10 seconds. So I'm going to have to do one more test strip at 40 seconds across the whole lot. I could open my aperture up and cut the time down, but I'm not going to bother. That 40 seconds will give me a lot of time to do any jiggery pokery that I need to do under the enlarger. So we'll put my 10x8 paper underneath. I'm using Kentmere glossy paper, which is a resin paper. It's nice and easy to work with. It's a little bit tricky in the videos with this glossy paper because it's quite shiny, but I'm just bending my dodge tool a little bit, so you guys might have trouble seeing it on here, but you'll get the idea of what I'm doing. So after 20 seconds I'm going to then start covering that wall. There's the wall there. About now we'll start covering that wall. Just want a little bit of detail in there, that's all. Use my finger. probably easier. So I just want some detail in that wall without touching the sky too much. And then goes the paper. Let's see if that comes through nicely. It's upside down, let's turn it around. Into my stop bath, so that'll stop the development, even though there's nothing to stop. It's developed as long as it will now. Even if I left that in the developer for another 2 days, it would just peel the paper apart. It wouldn't make anything darker. Not like your film developer. This is looking really nice. And that orange filter has given me some nice separation in the clouds there. I'll show you this when the lights come on. That's about enough there in the stop. And into the fix now, give it a good fix. So then I can turn the lights on and the paper is no longer sensitive to light. There's a spider going in my developer. And into the wash. You turn the light on. And that is looking really nice. Okay, I'll get it dried and I'll show you guys how it looks. And there it is there, hanging out to dry. It's actually a really nice photograph. As for the tonality and texture, it's wonderful. Look at the orange filters done to the blue sky. Darkened it down a little bit and gave us some separation up here. And also that 20 seconds of covering the light hitting the wall gave me loads of detail in the wall. So the whole print was 40 seconds, but that wall only got 20 seconds of light. It's come out really nice. And you notice the way I've composed it as well. The top, I've gave it some room at the wall some room up here, and then coming down, and then making sure that this wall at the back was straight on the horizon. That had to be straight. The only thing I did feel when I was looking through taking the picture was this little tiny pole at the back, which is on the beach. Nothing I could do about that. It is what it is. But other than that, it's a nice composition. And look at the sun has done as well. It's given us that added depth of contrast going on underneath these little canoe here. You can see it, and also the chain as well. It's given us that, and underneath the curved wall, it's given us that little tiny bit of depth with the contrast. So I'm going to make a few more of these prints here. I'm going to put these on my Etsy page. If anyone likes this photograph and you want to buy one of these prints from this darkroom session and support the channel, they're on my Etsy page, and that's the print. I'm going to be putting a few of them up on there, so I'll put the link in the description. And I'm going to now switch the video camera off, make a couple more prints, and I'll show you afterwards. So while the cameras were switched off, I did a few more prints that I liked from that session. I printed the one of the bike, the old rusty bike. I liked that one. I also printed one of those rusty textured railings as well. I don't know if you noticed, there was a little tiny spider in there as well. I quite like that photograph. I did a print of that. And I also did a print of, what did I do a print of? I can't remember. And I also did a print of the boat as well. I had to do a bit of jiggery pokery on the boat in the darkroom, but none of these prints were easy to print, I must admit. Because of the contrast, I had highlights going on and shadow areas as well that I had to control with contrast filters and a little bit of dodging here and there, but I got around it, and that's the fun of darkroom printing. Sometimes my negatives print straight away off a 2.5 grade filter, and some people might say, well, that's the perfect way, you know, you've got the perfect tonality for your paper. Bosh, off it goes in the fixer and then drying out. But sometimes I do enjoy the challenge of dodging and burning and trying to manipulate a print and make dark areas that I want to make dark, or brighter areas on the print that I want to make brighter. So sometimes a little bit of dodging and burning is quite fun, and I enjoyed this session. So I'll leave it there, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it inspirational, if anything. You know, we all love film photography. And don't forget, I've got my ebook of compositions if you want to download that on the website, and also in the link in the description of this video. You can go on there and download that. It's got so much information all about my compositions and the way I see the world, if you like, through a camera. And also it goes to support the channel and the work that I do. A massive thank you to all the guys that have downloaded that already. I really do appreciate it, and I hope it's been inspirational for you. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time.